The HyperX Pulsefire Haste is the first mouse I've tried from HyperX, and I have to say that I'm quite impressed. This mouse has been called a budget mouse by many, but I don't really agree with that. It's $50 in the US and 60 euros in Europe. I would say it's more of a medium priced mouse, especially here in Europe, as the price matches to the Rocket Burst Pro and 10 Game Gear XM1. But let's take a closer look and see if the Pulsefire Haste actually can stack up against these two beasts. Starting with build quality, there is absolutely no flex in the shell. No bottom, no side and no top flex. There is also no rattle when you shake the mouse. The mouse just feels very premium when you're holding it in your hand.
Looking at the open mouse, there is quite minimal reinforcement on the bottom shell. On the top shell there is some reinforcement and the sides are also quite thick. It's actually pretty impressive that the mouse is this sturdy, especially when we consider that the mouse only weighs about 59 grams.
If you happen to own a HyperX mouse from before, hit me up in the comment section down below and tell me if the build quality is good in that. There are no weird design decisions on this mouse and the mouse looks quite good for me. The branding detail on the mouse is seen on the left side with the HyperX logo. There is also minimal RGB on the mouse as it's on the scroll wheel. You have a couple of options for RGB settings from the drivers.
There is a fade trigger effect, which basically just appears when you click the mouse button, for example. Then there's a breathing effect and you can set up multiple colors here if you want. Then there is the cycle option and you can customize the colors here however you want.
The coating on the mouse feels very good for my hands, it's quite grippy and feels comfortable. The top and the bottom shell of the mouse have the honeycomb design and there are also some holes on the bottoms. Most of the buttons at the sides are hole free though. The coating on the sides and the buttons feels very good to me, it's quite grippy and feels comfortable. The coating is slightly textured and has some roughness in it. It feels sort of similar to those newer Razer coatings, but very different to a Zowie matte coating for example. The coating feels very premium, so it's nice to see that they didn't cheap out on that part. The main mouse buttons on the HyperX Pulsefire Haste have the TTC cold switches. These switches and the button tensioning is very well done. The clicks are easy to actuate and very soft, but there is still a lot of tactility in there. It's super easy to spam click either button. The click feeling is also consistent, it doesn't matter where you click the button from. There is also no variance between the left and the right click. The click feeling is absolutely the same. It's pretty much down to the fact that both have a little bit of pre-travel and some post-travel. The pre-travel is very minimal though, and the post-travel does not matter to me. Actually, I do prefer mice that have some slight amount of post-travel because it makes the clicks feel smooth. In my opinion, when there is some post-travel, the bottoming out is softer and therefore it's easier to spam click the button. Very good for tap firing in CSGO or Valorant for example. The side buttons have quite a bit of pre and post-travel, but the feeling is still quite good because the clicks are crispy. Mushy side buttons can easily be ruined by pre and post-travel, but these feel very usable in game for me. They are also very well placed for my hand size and grip style, as I can easily actuate either one of the buttons. I don't really use side buttons that much in game, but if you do, these are just fine enough for you. The scroll wheel is not the best, but I'm not sure if my unit has some issues with the scroll wheel. It's sort of muddy trying to scroll up or down. There is some tactility, but it's very low. I would say it's usable in game if you for example pin a jump to it in CSGO or Valorant, but in general use it's quite bad. I wasn't really enjoying my time working with this mouse and using the scroll wheel. If you happen to use the scroll wheel as a button, that's still very easy to actuate. All in all, the main mouse buttons are top tier, the side buttons are quite good, but the scroll wheel is not the best. Here is a quick sound test for you guys. By the way guys, if you're new here and you enjoy my content and gaming gear reviews, hit that subscribe button and that like button. I'm trying to reach 1000 subscribers by the end of the year, now I'm at 970, so I'm quite close, but all the support is appreciated. The sensor on the HyperX Pulsefire Haste is the 3335 from PixArt. It's pretty much a power efficient 3360. I had no issues with the performance, tracking felt very good, flick shots felt crispy, there was no lag and no acceleration. The thing is that lift-off distance is slightly higher than I would like, and for some reason HyperX hasn't added lift-off configuration for this mouse. The sensor supports lift-off distance configuration natively, so I'm not sure why that feature is not available. I'm hoping in the future HyperX adds that feature to the drivers, but the lift-off distance is not exactly high though. It's still quite low, but I've been spoiled by the very low lift of distance of the Razer Focus Plus, the Logitech Hero sensor, and the 3389 for example. And it sort of triggers me not to see that option because I know it's natively available. I would have liked to see a 3389 in this mouse just because of the very low lift of distance. But I guess this sensor was chosen because of budget reasons. In the end, the sensor performs very well, and I'm sort of nitpicking with the lift of distance configuration. The mouse feet are pure virgin grade PTFE and they are quite thick. HyperX chose to use 4 small feet and the experience is very good on all my mouse pads. These feet provide a very good glide and a smooth experience. Solid performance on my Artisan Zero, Extrafy GP4 and 10 Game Gear MPC 450. HyperX also provides additional mouse gates if you happen to need those. The cable on the HyperX Pulsefire Haste is branded as the HyperFlex USB cable. It's a top tier cable, but not quite as good as the cable on the Endgame Gear XM1 or the Rocket Burst Pro. One thing that I would really like to see in every cable is an upward angle on the stress relief. This really helps with cable drag on your mousepad and your desk. The flexibility is still super good, but because there is no upward angle on the stress relief, I would suggest using a bungee. Anyways, it's very good to see another mouse that's very good right out of the box. The HyperX Pulsefire Haste costs 60 euros in Europe and $50 in the US. It's well priced for US customers, but a little bit too expensive for Europeans in my opinion. It's basically the same price as the Endgame Gear XM1 and the Rocket Burst Pro. We also have to remember that this is only sold by HyperX web store, so there are no free shipping options. So in the end, I have to pay more for the Pulsefire Haste than I do for the XM1 and the Burst Pro. That's a little bit of a drawback because that 60 euro price range is very competitive. I would have liked to see this mouse at the 50 euro mark in Europe. The shape on the HyperX Pulsefire Haste sort of reminds me of the FK2, but it's still quite a bit different. The hand feeling is a lot different because Pulsefire Haste has a higher profile and is also wider. The length is the same, but the HyperX Pulsefire Haste has a curved front. That's basically why the mouse feels shorter to me than the FK2. My hands are 90 cm long and 10 cm wide, and it's very comfortable to claw grip this mouse for me. There is a good amount of contact with my palm and the mouse, and that gives me good control. The mouse is also fairly wide, and that makes it quite comfortable. I could easily go long sessions without any kind of strain or pain on my wrist or hand. I think this mouse is very good for claw and fingertip grip for medium and large hands. But if your hands are quite thin, you might actually have some issues with how wide the mouse is. Generally, I would say that this shape is very good and very safe. Very usable for multiple hand sizes and grip styles. But I mostly recommend this mouse for fingertip and claw grip. But let's conclude the review. So it's a very good mouse right out of the box. It does not have many downsides as it has good shape, good mouse buttons, good cable, good mouse feet and a good sensor. The main mouse buttons are actually so good that I have to put them on my personal top 5. The shape is also very nice, but for me personally, there are better shapes available. For US consumers, this is a very good buy for $50. For us Europeans, that 60 euro mark is very competitive in regards of mice. But if you like the FK2 shape and would want something a little bit higher profile and more wide, this is your mouse. Comparing this to the Burst Pro or the XM1, this feels quite a bit shorter. The hump is also less aggressive on the Pulsefire Haste as on the other two. If you think the Burst Pro or the XM1 are a little bit too long, go for the Pulsefire Haste. Very good for the first HyperX mouse I ever tried, but it doesn't fit into my top 5. Hit me up in the comment section down below if you would like to see a comparison video against the Burst Pro and the XM1 for example. That's pretty much it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the content, hit that like button and hit that sub button, and see you in the next one.